work it, make it, do it, make sense.
Eclipse MicroProfile, Enterprise Java Microservices 1 year on. A nice, short, easy, catchy title for this session. My name is Ken Finnigan. I work for Red Hat and I lead the WildFly Swarm project, though for today's purposes I am the neutral third party. So on our panel tonight we have Mark Little. It's tonight somewhere. We have Mark Little from Red Hat. We have Jonathan Gallimore from Tommy Tribe. We have Andre Mihaly. Oh, got that right, good, from Payara. And Emily Jiang from IBM. So we're going to start out with a little bit of where we are 1 year on. And obviously we had MicroProfile 1.0 last September, which was just aligning with CDI, JXRS, and JSON-P that was given to us from Java E7. And then one of the bigger tasks that we undertook at the beginning of the year was to move the Eclipse Foundation. So I guess a question to the panel would be lessons learned in the first year in terms of what we've done, what we've achieved, and what we could do better. Who wants to take up the mantle first? I think we should have, I thought we had two. Oh well, yeah, you're on.
This works, does it?
Yeah, I can hear the tapping.
Okay. You hear me? Lessons learned, I think, would include making sure you understand the Eclipse process and how it fits into your existing process as soon as you possibly can, rather than, oh, we'll just figure it out once we get into Eclipse. So Clement is sitting in the audience from the Vertex team, and you know we had a lot of problems with Vertex fitting into the Eclipse process, and you would have thought maybe I should have realized it would have been interesting. And it was interesting. It still is interesting. So I think, this isn't a dig at Eclipse. I'm sure if we'd gone to Apache or somewhere else, it would have been the same thing. Figure out what process you have beforehand, what process they've got. Maybe you have to throw stuff out. Maybe you have to modify.
Anyone else have a comment?
Yeah, I echo those comments. We've currently got the config API that's going through the process at the moment, and I think it's, you know, the first one is always likely to be the hardest one to get through as we learn the process. But I think it's quite key that we learn to sort of share what the process is with everybody else who's participating in MicroProfile, so that hopefully we can get the next proposals through more quickly.
Cool.
I would just say that maybe like going into Eclipse Foundation is really good for us. It teaches us a lot of things and creates a platform to communicate better and also resolve these intellectual property things and legal stuff. But it also slowed us down very significantly, and we didn't expect that. So. In the beginning, we were hoping to have releases like every 3-4 months. Now we are having releases like 9 months after the first release. So it really slowed us down, but things are improving. And in fact, we are going to release a new specification, and other 3 specifications are being worked on. So we hope to keep up and get the momentum or increase the momentum to have real work done, not only tackle Eclipse and the processes.
Yeah, I think the first year, the lessons learned is how to do the real stuff with a big community. So I think take a config as an example. The first time we learned how to start the real piece of the code and how to interact with the community. I think with the config example, so the following proposals will move along faster, hopefully. But I would like to invite Ian Robinson to come here to, share your experience as well. We need a chair. Can you get another chair, please?
Sorry, I'm.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, I'm
a
Ian
special
Robin.
chair for Ian.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Oh, man. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Ian Robinson. I'm the chief architect for WebSphere in IBM. So I work with Emily. Emily does all the work on the microprofile side of things, and I just try and keep the rest of the company going in the right direction with respect to microprofile. Anyway, in terms of what we've learned in the last year, I think that the thing this panel more or less was here this time last year. And we said, we weren't talking about microprofile then because it didn't exist. We were talking about Java EE and what to do about it since it was going down the tubes a little bit this time last year. And microprofile, I think, was pretty much created as a result of that panel discussion and meetings and get-togethers we had afterwards. One of the things we said at the time was we needed to do things faster than Java EE. What we've learned over the last year is that whilst we think we can do things faster than Java EE, there was an initial process hump to get over, and that's what Mark was referring to. So we'll see, but I'm expecting that by the time we get to Java 1, we'll have most of those specifications that Andre was talking about out there.
So, yeah, you can hold that for now, Ian. Moving on. So kind of our roadmap plan, which hasn't been formalized yet within the community, but this is just our current thinking, is to have a 1.1 microprofile release in the second quarter of this year. So at this stage, that's probably looking like early to mid-June is our kind of best guess right now. And then a 1.2 leading up to Java 1, and then potentially a 2.0 in quarter 4 of this year. And what would be in those, this is kind of currently our, I guess you could say, feature backlog in somewhat prioritized order. Obviously, we have configuration, which we've already talked about. There's fault tolerance, security token, health check, fault tolerance with event streams, monitoring, open tracing, and then some Java 8 APIs that are being updated when that gets released. So where that fits in terms of releases, kind of like right now, configuration is definitely in 1.1. What else is in 1.1 is kind of up for debate, and also whether things get completed and how fast things move along. We're trying to improve the speed, but we're not quite there yet. So is there anyone here that wants to hear about security token exchange, what that is, what that means? Because I don't want to bore anyone to death with stuff they're not interested in. Is there anyone, raise a hand, interested in hearing what it is? Okay, moving on. Health checks. Anyone interested in that? Okay, we have one. Panel, what are we doing with health checks?
So there's the health checks proposal that's currently being discussed provides endpoints to basically make an HTTP call to discover the health of the server, and so that returns a HTTP response code along with a set of data, JSON encoded, so you can actually get more detail about what has actually happened during that health check, and actually get more detail in terms of what's gone wrong. So the idea there is that anything can make a call to that endpoint, and it can be secured through various different methods that would be available inside your server. But the client that's calling that could be anything else. It could be another microprofile server, or it could be another system entirely, so that you can actually report on the status of what's going on.
And could these be health checks used for like container readiness and liveness checks and those kind of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So there'll be a base set of health checks, plus you'll also be able to define your own application-based health checks as well. So there'll be something that you can inject in with CDI, and you'll be able to set the status of a particular item inside your application. So if there's something that's very specific to you in your app that you want to report on, you can do that. You can do that easily as well.
Great.
I'd like to also remind that there has been a confusion between what is metrics proposal and the health check proposal, because metrics is a different proposal, and the main difference is that they both expose data about what's going on in the service, but the health check is only exposing like binary data, really saying if the service is functioning well or not functioning, or maybe something in between that is like a warning. And this is with the aim of automatically fixing problems sometimes in clusters of services when there is a tool that can restart the services if something is not going properly, if the service is not working properly. So it's a narrow scope for health check, while metrics are meant to provide all the additional data and anything like about the CPU usage that you can monitor to optimize the service, but not the basic information. Or the basic information is covered by the health check proposal, just to find out if there is something wrong, if the service should be restarted, or at least checked what's going on there.
Yeah, I want to add one more thing on the health check. Basically, health check is very simple. Basically, the applications is the application developer's responsibility to tell whether this application is up or down. There's only two status, either up or down. So that's a really simple proposal.
Okay. Any other questions on health checks from anyone before we move on?
Could I make one more comment?
Yeah.
So, on the face of it, you might think that just being able to specify that capability in an application isn't very interesting, and there's 101 different ways of being able to do that already. But the thing that's interesting for us, certainly for IBM, about this is we want these applications, these microservice applications, to be deployed in Docker containers, in a management infrastructure, a coordination infrastructure, which typically we double down on Kubernetes at the moment. But we want there to be the same way for all of our customers' microservice applications to be able to report on that status, so that we can build intelligence into the routing layer in the platform around it. And obviously, that's something that everybody else is doing as well. The question then becomes, how do you hook that application intelligence into the infrastructure and get the infrastructure to exploit it? You need a standard way of doing that. This is how we want to do it.
Great. Thanks, Ian. So monitoring, Andre kind of touched on there, is slightly different from health checks. Is there anyone who wants to know more about what we're planning around monitoring? Oh, we have one. Who wants to talk about monitoring?
I'd just be interested to know if it's sheer infrastructure or if you're planning on having a little bit of business KPIs like application internals as monitoring input metrics.
Okay, so again, like the health checks, there'll be the capability to sort of push out information about the server itself, but also the ability for your application to specify its own set of metrics that you can look up. And again, it's through a RESTful interface. So it is a pool-based mechanism. What's in the proposal at the moment. What's quite interesting for us is that we've been looking at various different ways of doing this inside Tommy Tribe, and we've been looking at some push-based things. And we were chatting earlier on about some similarities and differences in terms of capabilities in the different products that we've been working on. But it's nice that we can, as participants in MicroProfile, we can all come together and come up with something that we can all support. So it's what you're using to query your metrics becomes agnostic of anything that we're specifically doing under the hood.
Yeah. So as Jonathan said, we had a chat earlier today, and we found out that we do a lot of stuff that has very, very much in common, like with the health check health checks and monitoring, and also with caching. So with monitoring, in regard to PyAra server, which is derived from Glassfish, we already inherited from Glassfish the REST interface that provides loads of monitoring data, lots of metrics. It's only that people don't know much about it because it's only provided by Glassfish PyR, and it's not very common. Or if other implementations or other vendors provide that, they have completely different set of APIs. So it's fragmented, but it's already there, and multiple vendors provide that, so it makes sense to unify that and create a unified API for that. And what we also do in a PyR server is that we provide a means to define thresholds, which are, I think, what you meant by KPIs. You can define levels which are acceptable, which will issue a warning, or which are critical. So, for example, if a CPU load is over 90% for some time, it will issue a warning. So this is also a kind of functionality that can be integrated into this specification. So we are looking forward to it, and we hope that all these ideas will be part of it.
I just add a little bit of summary for the monitoring. So basically, it's two categories. One is the content status, one is the application status. And also in the mailing list, we even talk about how to integrate fault tolerance with this monitoring. So monitoring can monitor like a circuit breaker status and etc. So one last thing I would like to add is currently the proposal has not been merged. So if you have any comments and etc., and do speak up on the proposal. Anyone else want to say?
Okay, moving on. Distributed tracing. Anyone interested in hearing about what we're thinking in that area? Oh, we have another winner.
Oh, okay. So this is this tracing proposal was put forward by a couple of my colleagues. Basically, we are interested to kind of reach a general consensus about tracing APIs. So I think, and then we discussed on the community to bring forward for the open tracing API, and then we just started putting forward a proposal so people can choose a different trace implementation. And also the proposal was quite supportive by the open tracing community as well. So I think currently we work to get the proposal, implemented and etc. So.
So one of the reasons we got this one as something that we want to get done in one of the first phases is the simple observation that as our customers break their monolithic applications down into lots of small microservices, flowing the trace all the way through becomes more and more important. It's pretty easy to do problem determination on a monolithic application. It becomes a bit more exciting when you've got lots of microservices potentially running asynchronously with respect to one another in containers, maybe not all co-located. So, again, lots of different ways of solving the same problem, but if you want to mix and match microservices from different sources, then if we can get Java-based, in particular, focusing on Java-based microservices to start with, to collaborate on doing things the same way, using the same sets of technologies, then it makes it a lot easier for us to put together a comprehensive end-to-end trace and help with application performance issues and indeed infrastructure challenges too.
Thanks, Ian. And another area we've been looking at heavily is fault tolerance. So I don't know if Emily wants to tell us what we're doing in that area, because I know she's worked heavily on that.
Yeah, fault tolerance is one of my favorites. So I think it's a very hot topic because when you mention about microservices and you all want to build a resilience microservices, I think it's one of the 12 factors brought up by Martin Fowler to build resilience microservices. So which is why we're trying to propose this fault tolerance. So basically in MicroProfile, community, we're trying to cover we're trying to reach a general consensus about APIs to achieve like a retry and bulkhead and circuit breaker and fallback, this kind of category. So when we first started, this is very interesting. We started with a non-CDI approach, and that was rejected by Ken.
What can I say?
And then is the kind of, I think it's the right call. It's a good comment anyway. And then is trying to fit in with the CDI based. And then is we add the CDI based API. And then now we flip back. We try to get a CDI based APIs. Agreed upon and implemented. At the same time, when we implement the CDI-based APIs, so that will utilize the non-CDI as the SPIs. So I think it's at the end is it turned up is to be okay. So fault tolerance was split into two parts. One part is base, as mentioned by Ken's previous slide. So the base means achieves everything, but you cannot visualize them. The second part is the part with the streaming integration. Yep. So basically, you can view the circuit breaker status and etc. So it's very easy to see, this circuit is open, one is closed or half open. So this status to trying to make the API very simple, and at the same time we're trying to trying to improve the usability. Yep. With the second part.
Anyone else have anything they want to add? Yeah. Sorry? I'm an impartial third party. I guess in terms of fault tolerance, I was the reason that we moved to a CDI first approach. Blame me for that. I kind of felt that given MicroProfile was mandating CDI, then it kind of made sense to take that approach. And if it happens to mean that Spring can't use it, well then so be it. That's just an interesting byproduct of the decision. But I certainly think fault tolerance is important, and I was also pushing quite heavily for the stream stuff in the initial version, but I didn't win that one. But I think it's going to be a very important thing for microservices, so it'll be good to get it in there and get people using it and seeing what we can do to improve it. So, anyone else have anything on that?
Yeah, I'd like to say that Ken is not the only one that was in favor of CDI first approach. I also kind of like it more than going through with this plain Java first, and it was for pragmatic reasons, not to ignore Java, but I imagine that, and it turned out true, that the CDI API is much easier. It's much less code and much less problems than that plain Java API, because with Java you need to define interfaces, you need to define the life cycle, but with CDI, makes many things for you. Like the life cycle is there already. You don't need to treat or specify how class loading works. We just specify how things are injected. So it turned out that the CDI API took much shorter time to create and to talk through than the Java API. So then, if we take this approach, I believe we can deliver much faster, at least something that's working, and add plain Java API afterwards, because it's also relevant. It's relevant not only outside of MicroProfile or CDI, but also to be usable in CDI extensions. So if we want to go to one level deeper, we need plain Java API. But in that case, we have to solve some problems, and one of those problems is how to dispose some objects which are just created by calling static methods. And the other problem is that the API is much more complex than just the CDI API.
Anyone else have anything they want to add? Oh, Ian.
Just a quick comment. So, in my opinion, and this is just me, I think that this specification, the need for a standard way for Java microservices to be able to build fault tolerance in is the biggest gap that Java EE has today. And Spring obviously did, they did a good thing with the Netflix Hystrix libraries for the Spring programming model. So, hats off to them. Java EE needs this bad. And I think the sooner we get this done in MicroProfile, the better, because I think this is the most important spec we're working on at the moment, in my opinion.
I kind of agree, although I actually think getting the security stuff done first is more important. Because I'd rather have my microservices fail and be secure than keep coming back every time they die and then be really insecure.
Actually, with the security, it's quite convenient that the new JSR is coming with Java EE 8, and we hope to incorporate it at least partially into next versions of MicroProfile. And in fact, we are going to evaluate every JSR delivered with Java EE 8 if it can be incorporated, if it makes sense to make it part of MicroProfile too. But it also takes some time because we need to evaluate if it's valuable, if it fits to the model. So, but that's the intention.
Okay, thanks. So, as a vendor, what's your top feature you want included? Obviously, Ian's is fault tolerance. We know that one.
I didn't see that in advance. Marks of security.
Yeah, security.
I think probably security and the metrics and health checks are high on the list for us.
Yeah. So from those things that were discussed, maybe health check is probably most significant for PyEra, because we already have a lot of functionality there that's worth to specify and promote. But we are also kind of like a JCache API, which has been discussed before, but it has some issues even with Java EE, and it also has some issues with MicroProfile. But PyEra implementation already provides JCache with Hazelcast, so we'd like to discuss it even further. And I think what is kind of necessary is managing threats and messaging. But this is long future.
Yeah, I agree with Ian. I will choose fault tolerance. Otherwise, I will not work on fault tolerance. Yeah.
Does anyone from out there have a different view or agree with anyone up here, or strong opinions either way?
I don't know.
Okay, so this is the current community we have. We're always looking for new individuals or groups to join. We want to try and get as many people interested in this as we can to help improve both the speed and types of specifications we can bring to bear. And these are some of the resources we have. Obviously, the MicroProfile.io site. We have a discussion forum, which has a nice bit.ly link there that you should be easy to remember. That's where everything gets discussed and everything happens. It can be quite overwhelming at times, particularly if you're just getting into it. There are lots of very varied discussions, but also good ones as well. And then we have also some samples and some other repos, which actually I should have changed that to the Eclipse org. That's wrong. It should link to the correct one properly for you, though, anyway. So now, is there anyone from here today who wants to ask questions of the panel? Martin. Make sure everyone can hear you.
We, the users and the user groups, want a working demo application, and we want it now. Is that going to be on the roadmap?
Well, we do have the conference demo, though it hasn't been updated in quite a while.
Yeah, it was never working in the first place, 100%.
Okay. Well, maybe that's something we need to add on to the roadmap, is to fix that.
I'm actually thinking, yeah, formally, if it gets added to the roadmap, then it might be, then people put the time and effort into it, I think.
Yep.
Because if there's nothing, it's great building these pseudo specifications or specifications, but if no one's going to build apps
Something
against
that
them,
uses
then
it. Yep.
I think we're in trouble.
No, that makes sense.
And I appreciate we as user group members should be actually helping build this thing. So,
well, sometimes easier said than done.
So I was just going to say it'd be good if the users helped in that regard. But I would agree with you. I think it'd be nice if every time, and I think this was one of the things that we talked about at Java 1 last year, it'd be nice every time we did a release, there was this app, whether it's the one we currently got, whether it's something different, but something to demonstrate that was available at the point of release rather than either never there or 6 months later.
Does anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask the panel? I do have some further pre-canned questions we can throw at them if no one else has anything else. Well, I'll let you ponder that for a moment. I know, need to calm down, everyone. So, here's a fun one. Where's Oracle? Who's going to grab the mic first on that one?
Well, they have offices in London. I'm sure there's some there. They've got them in the US. Could you be a bit more specific?
Where is Oracle in relation to the microprofile effort?
Well, the canned and the honest answer is we've invited them a number of times, publicly and privately, and they have declined to get involved, and they've done that publicly as well.
I guess a follow-up question, and Ian, you can answer both, is MicroProfile looking to compete with Java EE as a standards body?
I want to add to Mark's answer to the first one as well. Both of us, both Mark and I, have and up our respective company chains as well, reached out and tried to, we've had some good conversations with Oracle, but although they have declined to join in the MicroProfile effort itself, anybody that was at Java 1 last year will have seen at least some of the fruits of the efforts we're making with them, because at Anil's Java EE session at Java 1 last year, he called us out and he name-checked MicroProfile as a community effort working around the edges of Java EE, and that's what we are at the moment. We are a community effort that is trying to help Java EE, which brings us on to Ken's second question, which is, are we trying to compete? So I think it's fair that members of MicroProfile can take, different perspectives on that. I'll give you mine and IBM's. We are not trying to compete with Java EE because Java EE is important to us and our customers, but Java EE went to sleep. And we couldn't leave it asleep. We tried kicking it a few times and it didn't wake up. And so, from my perspective, from IBM's WebSphere's and our Java customers' perspective, we are building things in MicroProfile to run with and on top of Java EE, and it is my expectation that we will take the work that we do in Java EE and bring it back in MicroProfile and bring it back to Java EE as JSRs, and we'll either drive those things into Java EE or we won't. But in the end, if we get it into Java EE, great. If we don't, it doesn't matter, because there'll still be a broad consensus community, we believe, that will be using these technologies with Java EE, and there will be a spectrum of MicroProfile and Java EE stuff that just all works together and is part of the same thing.
I mean, I kind of echo that and say what I've said publicly and privately to Oracle as well, that, you know, we're not competing with Java EE. We're not a standards body. We are trying to evolve Java EE and, you know, push it in directions that are experience-based so that we can eventually come back to the JCP, if that's, you know, the right standards body, and try and standardize some or all of the things that we do in MicroProfile. But, you know, the JCP process is deliberately and correctly slow because it is a standards body, whereas, you know, if we can get our process issues right that I referred to at the start, we can go a hell of a lot quicker than the JCP, and then feed those things back into a series of JSRs.
I really echo the things that Ian and Mark have both said. From our point of view, we remain committed to Java EE as well as MicroProfile, so we don't see them as competing with each other. We'll continue to support both going forward.
Yeah, I agree that we're not competing. We're basically trying to help Java EE and JCP move forward, and I would say that we are taking the advice of JCP, where many of times we've heard that before it's suggested that before submission of a JSR that it's good to have at least one implementation that is really useful and used, and we are extending this to a collaborative effort and trying to standardize some or specify some things together, so that there will be not only one implementation but a couple of implementations already before we can bring that to the JCP. So it's like a second level specification. It's not we are not a standards body, so we don't want to specify everything for the whole world, but at least we a couple of the vendors and a couple of projects can agree on something in common, and then that could be standardized, or even if it's not standardized, some users or some people don't care if it's supported by a significant number of projects and vendors.
Yeah, I agree with all of them, and I just add some other context from the Oracle point of view. From my brief chat on the DevOps US earlier this year, I met JSR Chair Heather and also Java EE Chair Linda. Actually, they are really supportive and encouraging us to submit JSR proposals. So, yeah, just proof.
Another question that's a little out of left field. What about non-Java services? Is that something that MicroProfile will ever consider or look at or want to integrate with? Who wants to take that?
Do you mean non-Java or non-JVM?
Could be both.
Yes. So I think we absolutely should do more than just Java on the JVM. And, you know, microservices, we've heard a few people talk about it anyway. Talking about, you know, how we have interoperability through REST over HTTP. Microservices should be inherently heterogeneous. I think there are things that we can do in MicroProfile that should be useful to Node developers, just as much as Scala developers.
Does this somewhat come back to the discussion we had at Java 1 last year, like the difference between trying to remember David's terms, it was like an implementation standard and an interoperability standard, where the latter would be more appropriate for non-JVM or other JVM languages as opposed to the actual standard bits of MicroProfile.
The JCP and Java EE is really focused more on portability than interoperability, you know, particularly now that we're moving away from Corba, which was, rightly or wrongly, the interop mechanism for quite a while. It's much more now about portability. I think what we should be doing in MicroProfile, because of what microservices is all about, is, you know, trying to address portability and interoperability.
Anyone else?
Yeah. So just to follow what what Mark said already. We had this discussion about things around us, not only inside of the applications that are built on top of any microprofile or Java EE implementation, but in regards of to other services or even in infrastructure, like service discovery tools or Kubernetes, even all these things that are integrating the services together. And we already have some specifications in mind that at least part of them specify things that are not related only to Java EE. They are not dependent. So we were talking about health check and metrics. Both of them intend to specify a common REST API, and REST API is not tied to Java, not even JVM. So if we specify what kind of data and how is exposed through REST interface, that can be also used by other services like Node.js or similar. So there is a value in what we are doing for other projects outside of a microprofile initiative, and it would be nice if this value can be extended to other projects without making them microprofile compatible. So that's where the notion of microprofile interoperability comes in, to separate pieces which are not specific to Java or JVM, and that can be used also by other services or infrastructure tools.
I think Ian's almost falling out of his chair trying to reach the microphone too.
Right. We haven't had an argument yet, so let's start one. I not yet. Vendors like IBM and Red Hat and Pyara and Tommy, everybody's building a microservice environment that is, by its nature, by the nature of microservices, polyglot. However, so again, this is an Ian perspective, and it's different from what you just heard. I think that it would be a mistake for the microprofile collaboration to run too fast before we learn properly to walk with sorting out a better story for Java-based microservices. You know, obviously everybody wants to solve world hunger, but you got to do things, a bit at a time. So I am a big believer. So certainly when it comes to organizing our own priorities and resources within the span of control that I've got within my organization, we're building stuff in a polyglot fashion, but we are focusing the work that we do around microprofile on how to solidify and nail the Java concerns for microservices, because, outside of Java EE, other than vendor-specific approaches, no one else is doing it. And that's what I want to get out of microprofile. So I am taking a very, very Java-first approach, but that doesn't mean the other languages aren't important. It's just that from a repeat, collaborate and lead towards standards perspective, the thing that microprofile helps me with most of all is getting a common Java approach to microservices.
Oh, that makes sense. We've got about 7 minutes left. Are there any questions anyone's thought of from the audience that they want to throw at the panel? No? Still overwhelming excitement. So what about standards? Now, this one's kind of we touched on it a bit before, and I guess one of the questions around this is, does everything microprofile do become a JSR at some point, or some other standard, or is it a case of some things might and other things might not, or we just don't know at this stage?
I'll express an opinion.
Sure.
I think everything we do could be submitted and should be submitted as a JSR, but in the end, if those JSRs fall on the rocks in the JCP, I don't care.
I might slightly rephrase that. I think everything we do could be submitted as a standard to an appropriate standards body. That may be the JCP for some things, but if at some point we go polyglot, it may have to be some other standards body for some aspects.
Yeah, I think we're, from my perspective, I don't necessarily know, but it makes sense for the things that we work on, if appropriate, to submit them to a standards body, then that's something that we should look to do once those things have reached a point where they're agreed on and are mature enough to do that.
Yeah, just I agree that I think all the work we do has the nature that it's naturally collaborative work approved by many vendors, so it has a good starting point to become a standard if it's widely accepted. But my point of view is that we can propose it as a standard to the JCP or to even any other standard body, but it shouldn't slow us down. And sometimes standardization efforts slow things down a lot. So I think only a handful of specifications are worth to propose and go through the standardization process, while other things are more experimental and might be changed or revised in the future.
Yeah, I think if the specification end up in the JSR, this is ideal situation, ideal outcome, because when we set up this MicroProfile.io, our aim is to prototype, mature the technology, and then send it to standard body. If we can see that happening, that means we have done the right thing.
Okay, unless there's a tidal wave of questions from the audience, I'll give our panel here like 30 seconds to kind of give us their view on MicroProfile that hasn't been expressed already, if they have any opinion they want to share.
Holding back the wave of questions and like you say, overwhelming interest that we've had, I'd like to repeat something that I think we've all said, or certainly our various representatives have said over the last year or so. This is a community-driven effort. It's really important that if people are interested in enterprise microservices that are based on Java EE, that they get involved, because it's a great way of shaping how we move forward as an industry.
Anyone else have anything they want to add?
I think I just want to sort of repeat one of the things that I sort of touched upon earlier, which is, from some of the conversations that I've had today, it's quite obvious that, as individual companies, we've been working on some of the things that we've talked about today in our own implementations, and it's really great that we can come together and collaborate and come up with some interoperable ways of working on these things, so that you can have a solution that's agnostic of any particular vendor. It's really, really nice to see how everyone's come together as a community for that.
Yeah, I'd like to express that I believe that any standardization or collaboration effort among many vendors or products is really useful, and I think every one of us that is part of MicroProfile believes in that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. And we've seen that other projects were also interested, maybe not to join MicroProfile, but to discuss things and exchange ideas. And this is really motivating for us to continue this work. And in the end, I believe that any collaboration and standardization brings our industry forward. We are not competing only amongst ourselves, otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. We are competing with other technologies, and we want to interest our users and customers. So it's important to collaborate together to innovate, and this is where MicroProfile is and what is its main goal.
Yeah, I think collaborate is the key. So collaborate, innovate, and then we iterate fast, and then learn mistake, get some feedback and improve. I think that's a way to succeed.
So I'll just finish up by saying that in IBM we do things one of two ways. We either get on and do things ourselves, or we work with other people. And I would say, looking back over our history, we've done a few things on our own really, really well, made us lots and lots of money. We've done a few things on our own really, really, really badly. But honestly, the things that we've been the most successful with are when we've worked with other people, because, you know, they tell us when we're being stupid. And I'd like to think that we bring something to the party as well.
Great. Thanks, everyone. So I'd like to thank our fantastically dedicated audience today. It's been wonderful. Hopefully you've learned something of interest from the panel today, and they've learned something from you. And I'll just finish up by saying, please come join us in the community, criticize us when we're doing something stupid, give us ideas.
And help.
Yes, and help. More the merrier. Anyone can help. Thank you very much.